You don't need a green card to live in the United States. You don't need to win the visa lottery. You don't need a US employer to sponsor you. What you need is a strategy. Today, I'm going to show you two of the most powerful and most underused pathways to the US residency that exists right now. One starts in the Caribbean, one starts in Turkey. Both end in the US. I am Tatiana Muntean, the founder of Global Freedom Capital. I've helped nearly 800 families across 6 continents structure their global mobility. And I'm filming this in Miami because this city is exactly where these strategies lead to. Let's get into it. Most people don't realize this. The United States has something called treaty investor visas. These are bilateral agreements between the US and specific countries. If you hold a passport from one of those treaty countries, you can invest in the US business and live here legally as the owner. No employer, no lottery, no green card required. The E2 Investor's Visa is one of the most flexible, renewable, and family-friendly visas the US offers. Your spouse gets work authorization, your children go to school here, and as long as your business is active, you can renew it indefinitely. The catch? Not every country has a treaty with the US. Moldova doesn't, Russia doesn't, China doesn't, most of the Middle East doesn't. So what do smart investors do? They get a second passport from a country that does have a treaty. Then they apply for the E2 on that passport. That's exactly what I'm going to walk you through today with 2 specific countries, Grenada and Turkey. Grenada is a small island nation in the Eastern Caribbean, and it holds something very rare. It's the only Caribbean citizenship by investment program that has an E2 treaty with the United States. That single fact makes Grenada's CBI program one of the most strategically valuable second citizenship programs in the world. You receive Grenada citizenship and a Grenada passport. Processing typically takes 3 to 5 months. Step 3, use that Grenada passport to apply for US E2 investor visa to establish or invest in a US business in Miami, New York, Texas, wherever makes sense for you. The investment amount for E2 is not fixed by law, but in practice, it needs to be substantial and proportional to the business. We typically work with the clients in the 100,000 to 300,000 range for real operating business. Step 4, you move to the United States legally on E2 visa that is renewable every 2 years with no cap on renewals. Grenada also gives you visa-free access to the UK and the Schengen area, so you're not just gaining a US path, you're gaining a globally mobile life. Turkey is a different profile, and it serves a different type of clients. Citizenship by Investment program is one of the most accessible in the world for real estate investors, and Turkey has had an E2 treaty with the US since 1990. Here is the path. Step 1, you purchase real estate in Turkey with a minimum value of 400,000. Istanbul is the most popular market. Coastal properties in Bodrum or Antalya also qualified. You hold the property for a minimum of 3 years. Step 2, you receive Turkish citizenship. Processing can take as little as 3 to 6 months, then documents are in order. Step 3, you apply for the US E2 investor's visa using your Turkish passport. Same process as with Grenada. You invest or establish a US business. Step 4, you are in America. So now here's what makes Turkey interesting beyond the E2. Turkey is a large, strategically located country with real estate, with real economic depth. Some clients invest in Turkey not just for the passport, but because they want genuine business exposure to a market of 85 million people sitting at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. For clients from Russia, the Middle East, Central Asia, or South Asia, Turkey is often a very natural fit, both culturally and geographically. Now, let's talk about the L-1, because not everyone wants to build a new US business from scratch. Some of you already have one. The L-1 Intracompany Transfer Visa is designed for business owners and executives who have an existing company outside of the US and want to open or expand into the American market. Here's how it works. You must work for your non-US company for at least 1 year in the past 3 years in a managerial, executive, or specialized knowledge capacity. You then open a related U.S. entity, a subsidiary, affiliate, or branch, and you transfer yourself to the U.S. operation to manage it. L-1A for managers and executives is initially granted for 1 year for new offices and 3 years for established operations. It's renewable up to 7 years, and critically, the L-1A is a dual intent visa, meaning you can pursue a green card while on it. It's one of the fastest pathways to permanent residency through EB-1C category. The L-1 does not require a treaty. It doesn't matter what passport you hold. It works for citizens of any country. If you have an established business in Turkey, in Grenada, in Ukraine, in the UAE, and you want to expand to the US, the L-1 may be the most direct path available to you. Investment threshold is lower than E2 in some cases, but the documentation requirements are more complex. You need to demonstrate a relationship between the entities, the legitimacy of your management role, and viable US business plan. So how do you know which path is right for you? Ask yourself 3 questions. Question 1. Do you have an existing business with operations outside of the US? If yes, the L1 deserved serious consideration. Question number 2. Are you starting fresh in the US and want to build something new? E2 is likely your vehicle. And if your current passport does not have an E2 treaty, Grenada or Turkey gives you that access. And question number 3, what is your total capital position and timeline? Grenada gets you to E2 at a lower total cost. Turkey involves more capital in real estate, but adds a strong asset and large market. These paths are not mutually exclusive. I've worked with clients who obtained Turkish citizenship, applied for the E2, and simultaneously structured an L1 for their European operations entering the US. Strategy is never one-dimensional. Miami, ladies and gentlemen, is not an accident. This city is where global capital meets American opportunity. The people moving here are not waiting for permissions. They are structuring their mobility with intention. If you're watching this, you are already thinking the right way. My team at Global Freedom Capital advises families and entrepreneurs on exactly these structures together with the U.S. attorneys, from second citizenship to the U.S. entry strategy. If you want to understand which path fits your situation, the link to book a consultation is below. And if this video gave you clarity, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe. I release new content on global mobility, investment strategy, and the freedom to live anywhere every week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye from Miami.